Welcome to Aunty K's, your favorite radical queer indigenous auntie, bringing you tarot every day. Hello everyone, and welcome to Aunty K's Tarot. I am going to join the tag Let's Be Tarot Friends by Tarot is Magic, and I've already put the link into what will go into my description box. So it's there. I liked this tag on the intention. Let's be tarot friends. I'm going to share something about me and my decks because friends like to share that information with each other. I like it. All right, so here we go. What type of art are you looking for in a deck? And two, what do you search for in a deck? I think these are going to go together. I'm definitely drawn to colorful art. I'm definitely, I like the cartoony, heavy line work kind of art. I like it to be visually attracted. I'm definitely drawn to pinks. I do also occasionally like quiet, subtle beauty, like a quiet beauty versus like a loud beauty. This one is like a quiet but blunt beauty. Oh, that was a perfect cut. It's a quiet but blunt beauty, and I love that about this. I searched for diversity in a deck. I wanted to aesthetically please me. I want the art to connect with my worldview. And we'll do that in different ways. This deck, there's a spiritualness to it that I connect with. This one, location-wise, the artist lives a few hours from me, and where I live, that's close. The landscapes are similar where I live, and I lived closer to them before than I do now. Yeah, I want it to match my worldview and to be aesthetically pleasing. And for me, spirituality and politics and struggle are they're linked together. And so decks that don't fit my worldview are become uncomfortable to read with. They become uncomfortable to read with. So that's what I look for. What deck are you most intrigued by now, and why? So I fairly recently got this deck. Currently, due to a very bad burn on my finger that is still healing, I cannot shuffle this. I almost never opt for a 350 cardstock. I will turn down a deck that I am visually in love with because it has a 350 cardstock. And yet, for over 2 years, the Tazama African Tarot stayed on my wish list. The beauty in it, it fits my worldview even if I'm not from the same perspective. As collage art, it's clear what it's indicating, representing, what the picture is, what I'm looking at. A lot of times collage art, I don't know what I'm looking at. There's too many different things going on. So the beauty of this deck hits me in a spiritually happy place in multiple ways. And that has me very intrigued, but it's come off my table while I heal from this really nasty burn that being on the inside of my finger keeps rubbing. And I cannot shovel the thick cardstocks with it at the moment. Currently, I'm having fun with, if you want to call intrigued in that way, I'm having fun with the game Marseille. I've been reading with it for clients, and I've been reading with it for straight or gay clients, doesn't matter. And my enjoyment, it's intriguing. I'm having fun with it. It brings enjoyment to my work day to have a deck that feels good to me and is beautiful. Is there a card in a deck you always check out, and why? Okay. I started this and didn't hit record, and so I hope they're still here and in order. I check out the Three of Cups, the Two of Cups, and the Lovers. I don't want it to do this. And this one doesn't repeat it. If you're going to give me diversity in the Two of Cups or the Three of Cups or the Lovers, what if it always has to include a white person? Or mostly has to. That's going to bother me. This deck breaks several of my rules, but art style wise, it's everything I wanted. I don't use it very often, however, because of that in cardstock. So I have this for the art, but I'm not, the diversity, even though it's by a black artist, it's really low. And it makes me kind of unhappy. On that note, I also, after I check out those cards, I do check out and pay attention to the court cards, because that will tell me a lot about how diverse the rest of the deck is going to break out being. And they tell me other things too, like if none of the pages are BIPOC folks, that says something about BIPOC folks being excluded from cards of innocence. If BIPOC folks are not in any of the kings, that tells me something else. Or, you know, even if it's not in the kings and queens, just in the jacks or the knights in pages. I've seen that too. And that tells me something else about how you see diversity, how much you recreate cultures of whiteness. So those are things I look for. If there's one card in a deck you really don't like, would you not buy it or pass it on? I pass on decks that often don't meet over several cards, right? The overall look of a deck. But I have not purchased and passed on decks where the Ten of Cups is a transracial adoption. I'm a scoop survivor, and in every colonized land, you will find that the colonizer adopts the colonized children, and it raises in various percentages. It's still ongoing in Canada, and at a rate of about 70%. It varies across the provinces, some lower, some higher. It raises children, it raises colonized children to have the view of the colonizer. it is considered genocide, Section 2E of the UN Convention Against Genocide, because those are the impacts it has. Psychologists will tell you that the majority of adopted children are traumatized. And it's not because of the homes they came from. It's the whole act of adoption. And transracial adoptions have the highest failure rate. It's high. I believe it's 70 some, like in the upper 70% failure rate. And that's only counting the ones where the adoption fails before the child's 18, or in some places 16. That's not counting adoptions that failed after the child turned 18 or finished school and then moved out and never came back. So when that's depicted, it is always a 10 of cups, only from the perspective of the parents and not the children, because adoption is not something children love, most especially transracial adoptees. So that. What is your favorite and least favorite card in tarot, and why? I love the Tower card because I want to see the tower fall. I want to see the capitalist colonial era come crashing to its knees. I want to see it. And when it shows up in a reading, it can be big or small, but it tells me what the root of the issue is, and that some aspect of this needs to be unpacked. I want a rebellion, so I'm pro Tower card. I don't like the Pope, and I've heard people be like, people have told me, oh, well, you have work to do, you have stuff to unpack if you're not okay with the Pope. No. I unpacked my stuff. This is why I don't like the Pope. This is why I'm not making excuses for the Pope. Nobody says, oh, if you don't like the Ten of Swords card, well, is there a cat hair on my cup? No one says, if you don't like the Ten of Swords card, you have some healing to do and stuff to unpack. What kind of tarot reading would it be if, like, you were as happy to see the Ten of Swords card as the Three of Cups? Oh, but I like the Tower. Well, I like the Tower, but it's not always telling me something great's about to happen. But there's a lot more personal power in what you do with the Tower. What do people close to you feel about tarot and you doing tarot? I don't know anybody who has an issue with me doing tarot. I happen to have a number of real life tarot friends. They range from the reading for myself on occasion to reading for myself regularly or myself and family to collector enthusiast to others who read for a living. My scoop parents, my adopted parents, they don't know I read tarot, but they're not close to me. There's nothing good going on there. How do you feel about the esoteric stuff in tarot? If we're talking things like astrology, numerology, the meaning of the cards, okay. Some of it I really appreciate and think it's well researched, acknowledged. clear train of knowledge. Some of it I think is mumbo jumbo. Some of it I think is white people making up shit they believe about other cultures and spiritualities, and it's completely unnecessary to use. I think that leads into a question somewhere else. Oh, the next one. RWS TDM Thoth and why? RWS because that's what I learned with. Marseille because I think I like it better. I like the pips. And some of the meanings make a lot more sense to me than an RWS meaning. And I see the like family ties, but the RWS can be a lot more limiting. Other times it is showing me exactly what I want. If I'm going to use it, it does. Okay. Thoth, no thank you. What I do spiritually has to fit my politics, so no thanks to Thoth. What are your thoughts on cardstock? I love linen. It's my favorite. I can shuffle it. I can shuffle it all day long. I enjoy a standard smooth. I can shuffle it all day long, but there's something about the linen that texture-wise is that much more enjoyable. You can give me a thick cardstock in a Lenormand in a bridge size because it's the Lenormand is only 36 cards, and I can shuffle the thick cardstock of a small 36 card deck. I don't like 350 cardstock. I almost never use it. I bought the Tazama African Tarot because I was willing to own that deck for its aesthetics, even if I didn't use it a lot. I'm using it anyway, with the exception of this finger. We'll see how that goes like over the course of the year. Am I still using it a lot at the end of the year? The only reason I wouldn't, I believe, is that cardstock. But I got that deck because I was willing to own it for the art. In most decks, I'm yeah. Okay. Bags or boxes? My answer is tins. Tins. How did you learn or get into tarot? A community member decided to teach me astrology. They thought I'd be really good at it, that it would aid my gifts that I have. And that was true. And then they were like, you are so visual. Like, when I look at the wheel, I don't understand anyone who looks at lists of words and calls that an astrology chart. When I look at a wheel with its symbols and its houses, it dances in front of me. I don't know what to tell you. And they were like, you are so visual. You need to do tarot. Here's a tarot teacher. And I was being taught for the purpose of doing this work in community and being able to utilize it professionally with the outer world. Because when your teachers are, also BIPOC folks living in the same ghetto as you, reality. And the person who taught me tarot read on the hotlines. Okay. Best news in tarot that you heard lately. There's a lot of news I'm keeping up to date on. So to be honest, it's not tarot news. I don't know. Like I'll come across something that's great. I'm sure there's great stuff happening out there, but yeah, I haven't kept up on tarot news. Sorry. Okay. So, while I haven't been following tarot news, I have my own tarot news. Seems a little self-centered, but I have my own tarot news. I designed a t-shirt for fun, and then I designed another tarot t-shirt for fun, and then I just kept having more and more ideas, and I was like, oh shit, I'm making another tarot deck. So, okay, so I'm making another tarot deck, and it's Star Wars Tarot B-Sides, and it's featuring all the characters who get sidelined, and I made rules for myself. I was like, rule 1, the image has to fit into the RWS background. Building placement, not shape, can use substitutes that visually fit. 2, you have to be able to read the RWS meaning without knowing the scene or character. 2A, I have to be able to describe what's occurring in relation to the RWS meaning within sentences. Sebulba, the chariot, one of the best pod racers. No, not Anakin. He only ever won one race. Pod racing isn't like driving. The steering is fast, minute, and requires will and instinct. 3, white humanoids have to remain in the minority to BIPOC humanoids and less than 25% of overall characters when non-humanoids counted. Diversity has to fit. And so in order to put them into the backgrounds, I had to buy my first ever classic RWS deck. Because it's a lot easier to figure out what I can put into a card for its if I can look at the card, I can be like, what fits this background? And what fits here? What fits this background? Some are like, what fits this person? And can I put this person into this background? So there's that. And I've been coming up with a list of BIPOC characters in Star Wars. So far I have like 37, I think. Yeah. So we're getting there. And then there's like some of the pip cards will probably have characters you can't necessarily identify. Or maybe only like the super fan would identify, but you have to be able to read the RWS meaning. So hopefully on the screen I put up images along the way of what I'm doing, so it can make sense. How many decks are on your to-get list? I call it my wish list, and I'm only buying from my wish list this year unless I find a Kickstarter that I'm really interested in. I have ordered one Kickstarter this year. It's supposed to come in June, which is my birthday month, so I thought that was good planning. And it's called Mooney's Tarot, and it's a Marseille deck with these cartoon-like people who all have big full moon heads. It looks really cute and fun. Okay. But what's on my wish list? There's 5 decks on my wish list. Wildlands Tarot, Tarot in Space, Worldview Lenormand, Teriyaki by Mr. Freiberg, and I don't remember the name of the deck. What I have written on my wish list is Kim's Identifying Features deck on NBC. So those are the decks on my wish list, and that's what I'm buying from this year. There was another deck on it. It's on its way, the 5-cent tarot. If I could only keep 3 decks. Okay. Folks, I've created more than 3 decks. If you think that I'm giving some of them up, you're wrong. So, I was like, I don't know under what circumstances someone would dictate how many decks I have. And if it's apocalypse and you only have room for what goes on your back, I can take all of my tarot decks. But let's assume I find space for 3 decks beyond my own decks, which nicely covers the range for me. I've got the Landback Tarot and Oracles of Colonization, which is RWS, far away from clone. I have the Marseille Prendre Vie. I have the Brown Witch Lenny, and I have the Back Pocket Oracle, which will be available sometime later on this year. So, but I have room for 3 more, and I'm assuming if, like, there's an apocalypse shit, like, my skills are going to be needed. Okay. So, I wavered thinking about this for a while, because there's some decks I'd be really sad to see go, aesthetically, sentimentally, like, the Gentle Tarot, right? Next World Tarot. But at the end of the day, I'm practical. My Venus and my Saturn are conjunct. Aesthetic and practicality. This is how that goes down for me. So, I got my Brown Witch Lenny for one type of Lenormand reading, and Grandma, Baby, Apothecaries, Black and Gold Lenormand when I need to get it really spiritual. So this is choice number 1. All right. I was like, I think I need a Lenormand at RWS and a Marseille. And I was like, do I want an Oracle deck, though? I don't know. Like, I might change my mind about this later on or something. But I'm like, I can use a Lenormand as an Oracle deck, and in my playing card deck, I can use also, like, an Oracle deck. Really, you can use anything. So, the beauty of this deck, again, it's decks on my table that I'm choosing in the end, because practicality, bitch. This deck, at the end of the day, I think, I need something that has that beauty and that specialness, and it has, like, it is very RWS, and so on that clone aspect of it, I think it's really practical. And now I'm down to a Marseille. And I really thought about Latero Archetypal because I love that deck. But, like, on a practicality note, it's really hard to shuffle, which is why, like, the Next World Tarot isn't coming in here either, because it takes up a lot of space. So on a practicality note, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So but I mean, you don't have to riffle shuffle every... No. Yes. The Estrella Tarot is going to win. Because, again, we have this happy place art, and and I know that I really love this deck. The gamers say, I don't know it well enough to say, like, I know I love this. I love this deck. I know, yep, I think, I think it's the Estrella Tarot that ultimately comes in here and takes the place of my third choice. And my other two choices were, you know, about that quiet beauty, like, yeah, they're different, yeah. So I've chosen each one for a different reason, I think, but also filling specific places. Those are my decisions. So, and then I would have an extra deck because, guys, I'm working on another tarot deck. How does knowing tarot influence your everyday? This is my living. This is how I support my life, my family. That's a pretty big influence, and it does so positively because I'm utilizing gifts I feel are important, that I personally value for myself, and I feel happy doing it, that this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Tarot has been guidance in my life, as has astrology, on a personal level when needed. I also utilize other means of personal spiritual communication. Happy, spiritual, financial well-being. That's what it is for me in my everyday. If you could turn back time, would you learn tarot any other way? The only thing I would change, it's the decks. I didn't like any of my first decks, and I didn't know where else to find other decks, and it's the only thing I would change is the decks. I might have been less resistant in the beginning. I really questioned the wisdom of bothering to teach me tarot because I did not enjoy the art. I didn't. And I didn't even have like a clone of the classic. I had decks that were like not a redrawing of the exact same art, but you know, yeah. One of the decks I had is pretty common. It's given a couple erotic decks that were like, one was something about Casanova. I also had an astrology based deck I liked a bit more, the Celestial Tarot. I had a Karma Sutra Tarot, which was a clone in the same way as like the Tizama African Tarot. Like it recreated the image pretty much exactly, right? But different art entirely. Kind of like recreates the same image but entirely different art. I also didn't like it. I had the Harmonious Tarot. It was okay. Some of it was interesting. It was pretty. I didn't love it. I had one that really come with the Morgan Greer. Yeah. Anyway. That's the only thing I would change. But how I learned, I valued it. It was wonderful. It fit my learning style. Like, yes, I'm good with books, but like learning and conversation, I loved it. It was personalized. I got to ask questions. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Three of Swords? When all I knew was RWS, it didn't make sense. Other than one thing I was told was like, it's heartbreak that you're gonna get over. You're gonna move on. It's not the heartbreak of you know, 10-year marriage. It's the heartbreak of a 4-month romance. Words, you're going to get over it quickly because when you do, you're like, yeah, I was better off without that. This wasn't good. I've lost something that it was in my best interest to lose. So those makes more sense to me, because also knowing the astrological tie to it, like, yeah, I could see it, but like, not just being it's only heartbreak, that's all it is. That didn't make sense to me. So I really liked Marseille for that. I was like, this makes so much more sense. Okay. And yet it can still be there. It's just, yeah, not necessary. It can be for the best, right? The Three of Spades is like a difficult situation, but truth prevails, right? Or you win in court. So yeah, you're splitting up, but you're gonna win in court. This marriage is over, but you're gonna win in court. So, you know, you'll get over the heartbreak kind of thing, or it's for the best. How many decks do you have right now? I wrote it down so I would know. 86. It's in my, I have a spreadsheet and charts and notes. If I could befriend one person on TarotTube, I really hate when you can only choose one person, because I can come up with several for different reasons. But if I'm going to choose one, I think me and Kim, that'd be really great, from Abundant Life Tarot. Except I can't travel internationally, and I don't know why anyone would go from the Caribbean to Canada on a vacation. By the way, it's snowing today. Favorite part of the day to do tarot? And I don't have a favorite part of the day to do tarot. I don't like to do tarot or to work after 11 p.m. And I prefer to be done around 9. And so I guess I prefer it not to be late at night when I'm more likely to be tired. Yeah. All right, those are all the questions. Now we're tarot friends. Talk to you later, folks.